following are the biggest events in America during the 1970s. This should give you a general feel for the 1970s and inform you of what you need to know most. This will not be enough to be called an expert on any of these topics.
So in 1970, the EPA, or Environmental Protection Agency, was formed. Under the Nixon administration, the EPA was formed after the first Earth Day in order to establish and enforce environmental protection standards consistent with national environmental goals. The EPA was created for the purpose of protecting human health and the environment by writing regulations based on laws passed by Congress. The government started to notice that humans were destroying the Earth, so they decided to make the EPA.
Later that same year, the Public Broadcasting System, also known as PBS, became operational. PBS is a non-profit program distributor that provides television content to its stations. Unlike the major networks NBC, CBS, Fox, and ABC, PBS is not a network but a program.
In 1971, cigarette advertisements were banned on television and radio. Nixon banned the ads on TV and radio to help warn people of the health risks. The ban did not pass quick, though, considering that tobacco companies were the single largest advertisements on television.
Later, in 1971, Congress changed voting ages from 21 to 18. The U.S. Congress unanimously voted in favor of the 26th Amendment. It was the fastest amendment in history to be ratified. It was voted for in just over 2 months. This happened because of tensions of anti-war sentiment, people saying if they were old enough to go to war, they were old enough to vote.
In 1972, the Watergate scandal happened. The Watergate scandal was the event that put Nixon on blast. This event was set in motion when 5 people, known as the Plumbers, connected to Nixon, broke in and tried to take information from the Democratic National Committee office. Nixon then tried to stop the investigation from continuing. After Nixon was found to be in connection to the Plumbers and the cover-up, he was forced to either be impeached or resign.
In 1973, the Paris Peace Accords ends direct U.S. involvement in Vietnam. The Paris Peace Accords, intended to restore peace in Vietnam, took out United States forces from the area. The peace accords were the result of 4 years of peace talks, all the while Richard Nixon was still bombing North Vietnam and Cambodia.
In 1974, the 1974 super outbreak happened. This was the second largest series of tornadoes in history. At the time, it was the largest. In just 24 hours, 148 tornadoes in 13 U.S. states had a death toll of 319 people. This event started on April 3rd and caused $3.5 billion in damage. This outbreak is notable in American history because of the wide effect in states like Indiana, Kentucky, and Tennessee.
Then, in 1975, construction of the Trans-Alaskan Pipeline begins. Construction begins in 1975 and was finally finished in 1977. After 3 years of construction, the pipeline was 800 miles long with a diameter of 48 inches. Once it was finished, oil started being pumped and now has pumped more than 16 billion barrels of oil.
In 1977, the Atari 2600 became the first successful home video game system. The Atari 2600 supported the evolving gaming world, moving games from the arcade to the home. The system had games like Space Invaders, Pitfall, Asteroids, and Frogger.
Then, in 1978, Volkswagen became the second non-American automobile company to open a plant in the United States. Construction first started in 1968 by Chrysler for an assembly plant in Westmoreland in Pennsylvania. Chrysler, part of the way through construction, had to stop due to complications. This later ended in them giving up the plant to Volkswagen, buying up the area from Chrysler. This was a big deal economically for the United States, having international companies based more and more offices in the United States.
In 1979, the Iranian Khashoggi crisis began. Enraged by actions made by the United States with the Shah of Iran, students from the local college who were the Muslim student followers of the Imam's line rushed the American embassy and took 52 American citizens hostage. They held control of the American embassy for 444 days starting on November 4th, 1979. Carter was very consistent in not backing down to terrorism, and this is why it took so long. In the end, the students gave up control of the embassy when they came to the realization that they weren't going to get anything out of the hostages, and they all let them go.
Finally, in 1979, the deadliest aviation accident on the United States soil occurred. Flight 191 was a regular scheduled flight from O'Hare in Chicago to Los Angeles International Airport. Moments after takeoff, engine number 1 on the left wing separated from the airplane. This ended up in the plane crashing, killing 271 people on the flight. Remember that this is not a complete list of the 70s, just an outline of the time period. Hope this was helpful.